All right, so we've talked about the fundamentals of weight loss. Now, why is it that people seem to get stuck? You'll tell me, you know what? I've been eating too little food, I'm starving myself, and I'm still not losing weight. What does this really come down to? Well, it really comes down to one of two things. Either you're actually not sure how many calories you're eating, so you're not tracking properly. And this can come in two forms. It can come in you're not tracking calories at all, which means you have actually no idea how much energy you're actually eating. For example, you can have a piece of toast with peanut butter on it, and you can have completely different variables in terms of how many calories you're eating. On one hand, you could have 200 calories. On the other hand, you could have up to 600 calories. So you have no idea. You might think that you're eating healthy and all that, but if you're eating tons of avocados, peanut butter, seeds, stuff like that, you could actually be accidentally exceeding your calorie needs and therefore gaining weight, or just not actually losing weight, or losing weight very slowly. Another thing that I see often is people will lose weight kind of gradually, and then they'll have usually 1 or 2 days where they completely throw everything out the window and they regain all of that body fat that they've burned off from the deficit. So you could be 5 days out of the week, let's say, if we put a number to it, let's say you burned 1,000 calories worth of body fat, let's say, and 2 days of the week you go over your calories by about 500 each time. Let's say you have something, you eat out a little bit, you have something here, you have something there, and this is how people go in these perpetual cycles where they completely waste their time and they don't go anywhere, because they are again, it comes down to a failure of tracking your calories. If you have no idea how many calories you're eating, or if you're not tracking accurately, like we talked about in the app video, where we go over how to actually make sure the calories are good, you can put in a hamburger and choose the lowest calorie option that says 365 calories. Meanwhile, it might actually be 850 calories or even 1,000 calories. So now you think you've eaten 2,000 calories, but in reality, you've just eaten 2,600 calories, for example. The last one that I would say that happens is, if you're tracking everything accurately, tracking everything properly, there is a process called metabolic adaptation. This is one thing that most people will throw it off to this immediately. This is actually very rare, and this is something that happens a lot slower than people think. So usually, if you actually stick to your calorie goal and you stick to that consistently every single day, and you're tracking accurately, usually you will lose weight, and you will lose weight consistently until you get to your goal. Now, sometimes what happens is you can stick to the calorie deficit, and especially as you start getting leaner and leaner. Once you start getting to like my levels of body fat, where you start getting considerably lean, what can happen is that's when metabolic adaptation can occur. As a rule of thumb, from my experience, if you're overweight, you probably don't have metabolic adaptation. Metabolic adaptation doesn't really seem to happen until you start getting lower body fat levels and you have those like last 5 to 10 pounds to lose. That's when I see metabolic adaptation happen. If you have a lot of weight to lose, you probably don't have to worry about metabolic adaptation for a while. In fact, I had some people that follow, and I'm not recommending this, but they would accidentally or purposefully follow a starvation diet and lose tons of body weight without any metabolic adaptation happening at all. But as a rule of thumb, you want to avoid doing those crash diets. I just want to be very clear. So how can we avoid this from happening in the future? You have to track your calories. This comes in one of two forms. Either you create a predetermined meal plan for yourself, and I can show you, we're going to be talking about how to do that for yourself in a future video, or we can create a meal plan for you within the actual app and get you set up with a custom-made meal plan that already has the calories and macronutrient needs for you. Now, the problem with that, of course, is that you're strictly limited to that meal plan. You cannot have snacks. You cannot have anything else. However, another option that I see works well for clients is you can have a meal plan with a couple hundred calories less than what you would normally need to lose weight, and then you give yourself a little bit of wiggle room, 200 to 300 calories, to have a snack here. It's a lot easier to know, a packet of almonds is 200 calories, for example, or a third of a chocolate bar, it's 200 calories, for example. And that way you only have to track one thing in your mind mentally, and you can kind of have some variation throughout the day. That's kind of like a hybrid approach that I like to try with clients. So you have like a base template meal plan that's a little bit less than your calorie goal, and then you give yourself a little bit of wiggle room to have some variation throughout the day, depending on what you crave, depending on what you feel like. So that can work very well. The only other option is, and I have a lot of clients that, I have clients that basically struggle with, they need variety in their diet. And if you're one of these clients that basically you need to have something different every single day or you're going to die, then the only other option really is you're going to have to just track everything. So that's just the way it's going to have to be. So basically breakfast, lunch, dinner, you put it into MyFitnessPal and you track from there, right? The easiest thing you could do is create a meal plan for yourself and change it every single week or every other week or every month. My original approach from my weight loss journey, every single week I would create a new meal plan for myself and just stick to that meal plan every single day. I would meal prep on Sundays, and that's been a standard practice for me now for years. Sundays will be meal prep day, get everything prepped for the entire week ahead, and I would just eat the same foods every single day. And then the next week I would change up the meal plan to something else, so that way you can have your variety. What ended up happening is I enjoyed it so much, and it was so easy and simple to follow that it ended up turning into every other week I would change it, then every month I would change it, then every 3 months I would change it. And now I'm getting to the point where I'm not necessarily recommending this for everyone, but me personally, I would eat the same meal plan for months and months on end, because it's just simple and makes everything easy. If I need to increase the calories, I'll add something. If I need to decrease the calories, I'll take away something. But I really just follow the same base template meal plan. That works very well for me. It just makes life so much simpler. You don't have to worry about anything. You don't have to track anything necessarily. That's what I recommend. The clients that I see struggle the most are the clients that tell me that they can't live life if they eat the same food every day and they have to eat something different every day. They struggle the most, but then again, the best option again is you're going to have to just track your calories every single day. Now, what I do have some clients do that work really well, if you want to have the variety, but you also want to, not have to track your calories. The other option I have seen work is the having these meal templates. So you have, let's say, a menu of options for 6 meals, and you know exactly already the predetermined amount of calories and protein for each one of them. And then you can kind of pick and choose whichever one you want and mix and match them to fit the calorie budget and template. That's kind of a loose way that it works, that can work. The only problem is as you start getting more and more lean and losing more body fat, the issue then becomes it might be a little bit inaccuracy. Everyone starts inevitably kind of getting lax and too relaxed with it, and they start thinking they're eating 2,000 calories, but then they're eating 2,300 calories, and then the weight kind of stalls and it doesn't really go down. So that can be a potential option. I have one client currently doing that method, and it's been working for him amazing. He's losing weight every single week consistently, and he's just smashing his goals, and that works for him. So if that works for you, then that's great. But basically, these are the overall options. In some way, shape, or form, you're going to have some form of tracking your calories. Either that comes in you tracking your calories yourself, or tracking the calories ahead of time and just sticking to an overall template. But those are really the only two options. If you try to follow a quote-unquote diet or try to quote-unquote eat healthy, I've rarely seen that work because of the reason of the law of thermodynamics. You're not going to be eating at a caloric deficit. You're always going to be eating a little bit too much. Even if you eat healthy food, if you overeat healthy food, lots of avocados, nuts, seeds, rice, I'm eating whole foods. I'm eating tons of potatoes. Potatoes still has calories, right? So that's the issue, is you really need to have some form of tracking the amount of energy that is going into your body. And try to think of this as something cool. It's like a science experiment. You're actually in the process of tracking the amount of energy and the amount of macronutrients that's going in your body. This is a fundamental process to becoming the ultimate version of yourself that is ultimately going to have this dream body and maintain it for life. This is part of that dream body lifestyle where you will, never have to second guess. When you see, when you get very advanced, you can get to a point where you can get like you can see a burger and you can see 50 grams of fat, 13 grams of protein, whatever, 300 or 650 calories, for example. And you start seeing the world of nutrition through this new lens where you can see the macronutrient breakdown, you can see the calories of things, and you can make better decisions for yourself. And this is this is where the cool part comes in, where it becomes effortless. It just becomes a way of life. And then you kind of develop this system where you effortlessly look like a model. I maintain this physique and this look pretty effortlessly. It's not a struggle. Sometimes there are times where I have to resist temptations, or, I'll see like pasta and I'm like, well, that's been cooked in coconut milk, for example, and that's too many calories. Like coconut milk is like 500 calories, so spread out through the whole thing. It's just too many calories. You're better off having spaghetti with tomato sauce, etc. But anyways, that's the basic template. It becomes a part of life. And when it becomes a part of life for you, that is when you build and maintain this amazing physique and look naturally without any struggle. And that is the ultimate dream that I have for you, to develop your personal dream body. So I'm excited for you to implement this into the system. See it as a fun challenge, master it. When it becomes a habit, treat it as something fun, something enjoyable, and it will be, And that's really it. There's no escaping it. This is the way to get to that next level and to build that amazing physique for yourself. The cool thing about this is you don't have to follow these crazy diets. You don't have to do these restricted diets, the low carb diet, the keto diet, the vegan diet, any of this stuff. You don't have to do any of that. You can eat however you like. You can have rice, you can have carbs, you can have fats. There's nothing that's off the table. You just have to make the choices for yourself based on that budget that you have for yourself. And this is where it can become really cool, This is where you can kind of eat more or less what you want while still losing weight. And that's the ultimate goal at the end of the day. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope this video gives you some background insight, knowledge, to then build a template off of the coaching program later on. But a big part of the coaching program is basically getting you into step by step, like into the insights and making best decisions for yourself, using these best practices to make it fit with your lifestyle so you can lose weight in a way that's enjoyable and satisfying to you.